رحم الله من قرأ سورة المباركة الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله بارئ الخلائق الأجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء حبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم محمد ثم الصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين، سيما ولي الله الحجة ابن الحسن صاحب الأمر والزمان. اللهم صل على محمد روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين، آمين رب العالمين. أما بعد. أحبائي, the night before Laylatul Qadr, our discussion, which is the main topic or the main theme for these blessed nights of Shahrul Ramadan, understanding the human psychology, yani understanding human behavior and how the mind functions on the day of judgment through the Quran, a Quranic analysis. And the point at which, the station at which we had reached was when we described the functions and the atmosphere that marks the beginning of Yawmul Qiyamah. We talked about the blowing of the trumpet. Followed by this, the change within the cosmos, the change within the environment, the fact that we discussed the number of groups that will be resurrected on the day of judgment, including mankind, all of them without exception. Number 2, the jinn. Number 3, the animals. And number 4, the malaika. Moving forward, today, we get closer and closer and deeper into analyzing the state of the human being, Bani Adam, Bashar, on the day of judgment. And you find that within the day of judgment or on the day of judgment, there are certain ground rules, if you can call it by that name. There are certain ground rules that the entire human nation will have to abide by on this day of judgment, a realm of existence which is governed by rules and regulation, and the underlying principle of this day is a day of administration. Let us begin by looking at verses from within the Quran. Number 1, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, in regards to the state of the human being. Our reference is Surah At-Takwir from verse number 12. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, wa idhal jahimu su'irat. When this flame and the fire of Jahannam, the flames have been prepared in front of you. Nahibai, when we discuss this, try and in your mind imagine yourself standing in this mahshar. And try and visualize this picture that the Quran is drawing for you. This is from tadabbur of the Quran, and this is what builds taqwa. وَإِذَا الْجَحِيمُ سُعِّرَتْ. When the flames of Jahannam have been ignited and the flames are leaping in front of us. And on the other side, وَإِذَا الْجَنَّةُ أُزْلِفَتْ. And the gardens, the vast gardens of Jannah have been prepared and are being decorated for you. So in front of you, you have your destiny for eternity. Either this or that. And everything in regards to your destiny depends upon the ruling of the divine court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when this destiny is in front of you, what is the reaction? What is the state of the human being? Alimat nafsun ma ahdarat. Every human being shall know on the day of judgment what he deserves. Does he deserve to enter into Jannah or does he deserve to enter into Jahannam? The verse says, Alimat nafsun ma ahdarat. Every nafs deep inside of them knows whether they are going towards Jannah or Jahannam. Ya'ni, Yawmul Qiyamah is not a day of surprises. Our destiny is not a surprise. Leave Yawmul Qiyamah, even right now, today. If you sit back and we honestly contemplate in our souls, touch the bottom of your heart, and you look at your entire life, you yourself are a witness and you yourself know whether you are entering towards Jannah or you are entering towards Jahannam. You don't need the angels to come and tell you this. You do not need Allah Azza wa Jalla to tell you this. Of course they will tell you, لِإِتْمَامِ الْحُجَّةِ, and you will see why إِتْمَامِ الْحُجَّةِ comes in. But generally speaking, everyone in their heart, they knows. I know deep inside my heart, when I sit on the mimbar, whether the delivery of the speech is lillah, for the service or Ahlul Bayt, or for seeking fame. You can come across as a person who's muttaqi and akhlaqi, but only I know myself deep inside. Similarly, for everything and everybody, whether it is working in tabligh or serving in the community or reciting salat, everything, person knows deep inside of him whether he's sincere, whether he's doing it for Allah or he's doing it for himself. The nafs in itself is a big enough witness, and it knows. Even salat. Salat, sometimes we ask ourselves, or a person may wonder, I don't know in these last 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years whether my salat is accepted or not. Habibi, you know. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the measure within the Quran. Inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. The goal of the salat is that it protects you from committing sins and disobeying Allah. Therefore, if a person recites salat and he finds within him that he does not possess a general power of resistance that protects him from committing sins, the power of resistance that allows you to not fall prey to temptation, no matter how sweet that sin seems in front of you. If that power of resistance is low, it's because there is something wrong within the salat. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, salat is that institution that protects you from sinning. So if a person is praying and sinning at the same time, somewhere, somehow, within the salat, something needs to be improved. Doesn't mean that a person gives up hope and stops praying. Abadan la. But the answer is within us. So the first rule that we take in terms of understanding the ground rules on the day of judgment, Ahibai, there is no surprise in regards to our destiny. Not that a person will be told to enter into Jahannam and is shocked, genuinely shocked. Abadan la. Answer is clear within us. The key is in the dunya, for us to be honest and sincere with ourselves. Before being or portraying honesty and sincerity with others, it's about being honest and sincere with yourself. It's not about living a double life, portraying religiosity in the exterior when the interior is filled with ugliness and disobedience of Allah. So this is number one. Number two, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, in Surah Al-Hadid, verse number 15. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. فَالْيَوْمَ لَا يُؤْخَذُ مِنْكُمْ فِدْيَةٌ وَلَا مِنَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مَأْوَاكُمُ النَّارِ هِيَ مَوْلَاكُمْ وَبِئْسَ الْمَصِيرُ. The day of judgment, Yawmul Qiyamah, is such a day in which no one will be able to get away from the consequence of their sins by paying a compensation. Fidya, yani compensation. You know how in fiqh we have the concept of fidya. Fidya yani compensation in exchange of, if you are not able or to fast, or you were sick, for example, or pregnant, the way the rules of the fiqh stipulate, there are certain cases, sickness generally doesn't come under fidya, but there are certain cases where a person is exempt from fasting, and in exchange of this situation, he is able to give a fidya, compensation. That fidya fiqhi, this over here in the Quran, the word or the term fidya is more closely understood as bribery. The day of judgment, where a human being will not be able to bribe his way out of punishment. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes this concept absolutely clear, particularly to drive home a message to arrogant people in the dunya who have been able to get away with all the evils and all the crimes that they have committed because of the power of the dollar or the power of the shilling. This dunya is a dunya where the most corrupt people can be portrayed as saints because they can bribe their way. Either they have the money or either they have the connection. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "O man, do not be deceived by your clout and your power. You are going towards a realm of existence where there is no bribery, there is no clout." Now you may ask, on Yawmul Qiyamah, what do you think a person would present as a bribe? Unfortunately, the dunya is like this. But bribery has got levels. Sahih Lola? Sahih. No? Bribery has got levels. In terms of who you are bribing, number one. And number two, for what reason you are bribing. If you want to get a certain simple job done, and the person that you need to bribe is a chokidar, askari, you don't give him a whole daftar of dollars, do you? Shi basita, hajar ma pati jai. 1,000 shillings it gets done. You go up the hierarchy. You got a job with a district officer or a commissioner, the amount of the money goes higher. You got now to deal with a governor or the president of the country. The bribe keeps going higher based on the position. So based on the person of position who you are trying to influence, the amount of money that you will use in a bribe goes higher. Similarly, based on the task. If you are bribing somebody to get away from some petty theft, the amount that you will keep as a bribe is very minimum. But the more serious, now I don't want somebody takes this out of context tomorrow and they say, subhanallah, member of Mombasa Jamaat was being used for fiqh and adab and akhlaq of bribery. La, Habibi, we're giving examples. But based on the task, if it's a petty issue, the bribe is minimum. If the issue is a little bit more serious, the bribe is even greater. Now imagine, keep this in mind, and we will get to it after. What do you think? Look at who the person you are trying to bribe. We are sitting in the lens of the people who are from the kuffar and the mushrikeen. The one they are trying to bribe is who? The one who has got the greatest power. And the reason for which they are bribing, they want to come out of Nar Jahannam. What do you possibly think a person could offer on Yawmul Qiyamah as a bribe to avoid entering into Jahannam? It's a question. Think about this and we will get to the answer. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So rule number one, in that when man comes in Everybody knows what their destiny is. It's a realm of no surprise. Number two, this is a realm of existence, a day in which bribery will not benefit anybody. Number three, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Surah An-Naba, verse number 38. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Yawma yakumur ruh wal malaikatu saffan. La yatakallamuna illa man adhina lahu ar-Rahman wa qala sawaba. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the day when the ruh, that grand angel, we used this verse a couple of nights back, and the malaika and the angels are raised in a single rank, and nobody is allowed to talk. لا يتكلمون إلا من أذن له الرحمن وقال صوابا. The day of judgment, when you were raised from your graves and you were wrapped in your coffins, and the moon and the sun have collided and have gone through eclipses, and the stars are colliding, and the mountains are crumbled, and Nar is in front of you, and Jannah is in front of you, and you know what your destiny is. This is a day where no one is allowed to speak. Quiet, everyone, except those who are given position or authority to speak, permission to speak. You are now standing in this mahshar. Your deeds are in front of you. You don't know whether you are going to gain shafa'ah or not. And if you do, when you will gain it. Because the year is 50,000 years. People might gain shafa'ah immediately. Some will gain after 10 years. Some after 100 years. Some after 10,000 years. Some after 20,000 years. Anybody there to say that I'm willing to stand in the mahshar or to be put in adabun nar temporarily until the shafa'ah of Ahlul Bayt comes in? Who is there to say that I have the power to withstand the punishment of Allah? On this day, everyone is quiet. Not a single soul is allowed to utter a word. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Salawat in honor of our shuyukh and our ulama. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Single soul, no one is allowed to speak. People are drenched in their sweat. Do you know, within the mahshar, there are certain points where you are allowed to speak and certain points where you are not allowed to speak. Do you know primarily why the human being will not be allowed to speak at certain points? There are places where he will justify himself. And these justifications, subhanallah, in the coming nights we will come to see what there are. Different conversations. People of Jannah will speak with people of Jahannam. People will speak with shaitan. People will speak with Allah. Allah and shaitan. People and the malaika. It's an entire network of events that the Quran has outlined for us. We need to be familiar with what is going to happen on that day, so we prepare ourselves accordingly. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says nobody is allowed to speak. Everyone, it is commanded and ordained upon them silence. Do you know why Allah is not willing to listen to anybody and impose upon them silence? Tell you why. Surah Al-An'am. From verse number 22. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wa yawma nahshuruhum jami'an. The day where we will raise all of them from the grave. ثُمَّ نَقُولُ لِلَّذِينَ أَشْرَكُوا أَيْنَ شُرَكَاؤُكُمْ الَّذِينَ كُنْتُمْ تَزْعَمُونَ. Allah will ask them, where are those shuraka? Where are those items with which, or those concepts, or those things, or those people through whom or with whom you used to do shirk? You used to pray to the idol. You took the idol to be God. Yalla, Jib, bring the idol. You used to believe in money. You made money your God in the dunya. Bring this money. You brought your ego as a God. Bring this ego. This is all shirk. These are different forms of shirk. We have an entire chapter of understanding shirk through the Quran and through the hadith of Ahlul Bayt. To summarize, Bain al-Qawsayn, between brackets, shirk is of two types. You have shirk jali and shirk khafi. Shirk jali, that shirk, polytheism which is apparent, and you have that which is hidden, where you subconsciously worship other things than Allah. A person can worship his nafs, his ego, his soul, hum and gham, his sole concern in the dunya is maintaining his ego, and he will trample over every aspect of the sharia in order to ensure that his ego does not drop. Such a person, his God is his ego. I'm told, bring. People will bring idols, people will bring money, people will bring their egos. Allah will say, bring that which you used to associate with me. يَوْمَ نَحْشُرُهُمْ جَمِيعًا ثُمَّ نَقُولُ لِلَّذِينَ أَشْرَكُوا أَيْنَ شُرَكَاؤُكُمْ الَّذِينَ كُنْتُمْ تَزْعَمُونَ. Where are all those things that you thought were important or that were your gods? Bring them. At this point, what will the people say in the mahshar? They're analyzing, our thing was what? Human psychology. Shufu. See what he says. ثُمَّ لَمْ تَكُنْ فِتْنَتُهُمْ إِلَّا أَنْ قَالُوا وَاللَّهِ رَبِّنَا مَا كُنَّا مُشْرِكِينَ. They will say, when they look at what they were worshipping in their dunya was of no avail, Aslan was useless. What will man say? They will say, Wallahi, Qasam. They will say, Wallahi, Ya Allah, we were never mushrikeen. Look at what Allah says, Unzur kayfa kadhabu ala anfusihim. Allah will say, look at this man, how they are lying to themselves on this day. Meaning what? Bani Adam is so despicable that on the day of judgment, he will lie to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is Bani Adam. Liar in the dunya is a liar in the akhirah. We live at a time and an age where lying is seen as, doesn't harm to say one lie. Ya akhi, this one lie after one lie after one lie, that which becomes ingrained in your character in the dunya is the same character that will manifest itself in the akhirah. The one who is a chronic liar in the dunya will remain a liar in the akhirah. Shuf, Bani Adam, ketlo sharam wagar no theishage. He can be such a shameless person that he lies to Allah. The Baba Nar Jahannam is in front of him. He will still lie to Allah. Rabbina ma kunna mushrikeen. Unzur kayfa kadhabu ala anfusihim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say to the rest of the people in the mahshar, look at them. They are not lying to me. They are not lying to Allah. They are lying to themselves. Which ties with the first point. Sincerity to the soul. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Something to contemplate or no? For this reason, the fact that they are liars, that even on the day of judgment, perhaps if they were to acknowledge and admit to Allah and seek forgiveness, Allah may have forgiven them. But no, Bani Adam is insistent. Deep inside his heart, he tries to lie to Allah. Hence, no permission to speak. So there are certain parts in the mahshar where they were allowed to speak. And when they were allowed to speak, they lied to Allah. And because they lied to Allah, they were told no more speaking. Don't even talk. You have absolutely no value. You have absolutely no self-worth. You do not deserve to open. Yani, Siddiq, when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, and he says lying Lying is the key to all evils in the dunya. Miftah. The key to all evil in the world is lying. Look at today, the problems within the political arena. It's because of a lie, because of lying. Politicians are known to be liars. Look at the facade that we have within the financial world. What is this? The key to the facade and the corruption and the failure of the financial system is because people within the system are chronic liars. Now you can have different words and different terminologies for lying. You could call it convincing marketing. You could call it convincing advertising. You could call it speculation on a stock market. But the reality, when you say black is black and white is white, at its root it's a lie. Justify what you are. You say, no, it's not a bribe, hadiyah. Yeah, call it what you want. In the root, enter, in your nafs, you know. Sahih, or I'm living in a different world. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Tayyib. Now, man is not allowed to speak. You are moving from point to point in the mahshar. Stations, places where people were allowed to speak. When they spoke, they lied. When they lied, they were told no more speaking. But there has to be ithbat al-hujjah, because man is trying to protect himself. So, in order for Allah, it's not that Allah doesn't know, Allah knows, but itmam al-hujjah, the completion of the argument against mankind, such that he has absolutely no more reason to say that injustice was done to me, or I didn't do this sin. What happens? Surat Fussilat, verse number 20. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Hatta idha ma ja'uha shahida alayhim sam'uhum wa absaruhum wa juluduhum bima kanu ya'malun. They will reach a station where they are, because they are liars, they are chronic liars, and they are not allowed to speak. You need to bring in a different set of witnesses who will bear testimony against them. What are these things that will bear testimony? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we will make their ears talk. Ajib. You're in a realm of existence where a day is equivalent to 50,000 years. And there is an entire bahath, the difference in the ground rules, you could say, or the difference within the structure of creation in the dunya and in the akhirah. One difference is that in the akhirah, one day or the day is equals to 1,000 years, in total 50,000 years, as opposed to the day over here. Over there, people will not die of dehydration. They are within adab, but they're still alive. Number 3, it's a realm of existence where your body parts will have the capacity to talk and bear witness against you. Hatta idha ma ja'uha shahida alayhim sam'uhum wa absaruhum wa juluduhum bima kanu ya'malun. Ears will bear testimony against you. Your eyes shall bear testimony against you. Your skin, your bones shall bear testimony against you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, you are the one who was sitting in the majlis ghiba mo, kona garma su thai che ne su nati thatu ne kon ketla pesa kamawe che ne nati kamauto ne kona viva tuita ne All these gossips, we like to know what is happening in other people's houses. When the divorce happens or there is a problem between husband and wife, we get so happy and excited. We are running to come to the mosque. We're getting, info. Drama, we like drama. We like to know what's happening in other people. Ghiba. Person, Allah will say, you did ghiba. You used to be part of that majlis ghiba. And you know from the Quran that human being is a chronic liar. So he will say, no, I didn't do that. Keep quiet. Let his ears speak. The ear will say, yes, Allah, I was used to listen to ghiba. The eyes, Looking at that, that was haram. The skin, our entire body. I did dhulm with my hands will speak. They will bear testimony against me. Even at that point, do you know what is going to happen? When a human being is not allowed to speak because he's a chronic liar, and there are his body parts bearing testimony against him, and Nar Jahannam is there, what do you think is the logical thing to do? Seek forgiveness. But look at Bani Adam. Yani sometimes, honestly, I don't even have words to describe the character of Bani Adam. But the only thing I can say, Bani Adam his soul is so despicable that when his body parts testify against him, do you know what the reaction of man is going to be? You would think that the logical reaction should be what? Put your hands up, Ya Allah, I am sorry, forgive me. But no, Bani Adam is not like that. Bani Adam is arrogant. Understand the meaning of arrogance. He will say, وَقَالُوا لِجُلُودِهِمْ لِمَا شَهِدْتُمْ عَلَيْنَا. They will say to their body parts, Baba, you are my ear, why did you testify against me? Ajib. Yani even on the day of judgment, instead of man confessing to his sin, he will try to conceal the testimony of the witnesses testifying against him. Look at how despicable human being can become. Which is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says within the Quran, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ تَزَكَّى. Victorious is the one who cleans and purifies his nafs. A person who does everything and anything to cover up testimonies against him for the wrongs that he committed in the dunya, he will do the same thing in the akhirah. So in reality, aslan, even the characters that become apparent of man, the behavior of man in the akhirah, despicable and as unbelievable as it may seem, these are characters that he possesses here in the dunya. Bribery happens in the dunya, Lola. Yes, which is why he will try to bribe there. People are liars in the dunya or not? Yes. People cover up testimonies in the dunya or not when they are guilty? Yes, they will also do that in the akhirah. So there is nothing new in that sense, but it's a clear manifestation. Which is why our master, Amirul Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi, he states that the nafs is like a wild horse. If you do not control this horse with reins, if you do not control it with reins, it will leap around in such a manner that it throws the rider off the horse, and it throws you off into Nar Jahannam, or throws you into that tufan of deviation and sin and eternal damnation. This is Shahrul Ramadan. Shahrul Ramadan for purifying the nafs. Because characters and attitudes like these, if they go unchecked in the dunya, this is what causes our damnation over there. To you and me, it sounds a very simple thing. We'll do istighfar. But a person who didn't even have in his habit and in his nature to do istighfar in the dunya, shlon, in which way he will ask forgiveness from Allah over there? A person who is too arrogant to accept when he's wrong. A person who is too arrogant to accept when he makes mistakes in the dunya. How is he going to accept his mistake over there? It's ingrained within the nature, within the soul. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us and our children from all this. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. This is the general nature of man on the day of judgment. Some of the characters of man. and the kitro becomes thicker and thicker. I don't know how to translate kitro in English. I don't know what the translation is, but whatever, the curry or the gravy becomes thicker and thicker. The waters get muddier. With all this that is happening now, man is responsible on the day of judgment for the relationships and the management of relationships with the people that he lived with in the dunya, including the family. And this by far is one of the most painful and the most terrifying stances on Yawmul Qiyamah. What is our relationship going to be with our family on the day of judgment? What is the reactions of the family members amongst themselves on the day of judgment? In addition to everything that we have spoke, look at what happens. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Surah At-Takwir, verse number 6. Is it verse number 6? No, verse number 8. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ بِأَيِّ ذَنْبٍ قُتِلَتْ. When the baby, infant child, will be brought up from the grave, and it will ask, for what reason was I killed in my infancy? The infant will rise up from and will ask, for what reason was I killed? And there are a number of connotations. Number one, Aliyun al-Asghar, Abdullah al-Radi', 6-month-old infant. For what reason was his jugular vein shattered from vein to vein? He will ask. Children of war today, look at the strategy and the methodology of warfare in the world, where children are seen as acceptable collateral damage. Look at the world wars that are going on, right? You know, you don't even need a body to come and declare that World War III has started. Ya akhi. Look at Syria. Look at Iraq. Shias of Ahlul Bayt. How many of their infant children have been slaughtered, burnt alive? All these infants shall come up and their perpetrators will be called. This child will cry out in the mahshar, for what reason was I killed? Bring in the boots on the ground and the arms suppliers and the powers and the governments behind them. This is one. Another understanding of this verse. In those cultures where daughters are seen as a source of shame, do you not read in Arabian history, before the proclamation of prophethood, the man who was in a state of jahiliyyah, his heart was so hard that if his wife gave birth to a daughter, they would see the daughter as a source of shame, and they would go and they would bury this infant alive in a grave. This infant is going to be raised, and it will ask his parents, for what sin did you kill me? Till today, in this day and age, in the dunya, travel in be it the subcontinent or everywhere, wherever else, do you not see that how the girl is treated as a source of shame? Family relationships. The ones who are responsible for killing their children. And I don't know what answer the killer of Sayyidah Zahra will have when her unborn son, Muhsin or Muhassan, will be brought in the mahshar. And the Fir'aun of the Ummah will be brought, and Muhsin himself will ask, for what reason was I killed? Do you know how the miscarriage happened? A fully grown man kicking a pregnant woman in the stomach until she miscarries. If a person is man enough to try and even just picture this image in his mind, وَلَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. So this is the tragedy that Ahlul Bayt went through. This is the sacrifice Sayyidah Zahra gave in order to show the world and differentiate for the world who the Imam of Allah is and who is not. In any case, so number one, the child, the infant child will ask for what reason was those parents who were responsible for burying their daughters alive. Jibu, bring them. Number two, Surah Abasa, from verse number 34. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. يوم يفر المرء من أخيه وأمه وأبيه وصاحبته وبنيه. The day of judgment, when every person, every man shall run away from his brother. A man shall run away from his mother. He will run away from his father. He will run away from his wife and run away from his children. Whenever you are in a time of difficulty in the dunya, the first source of comfort is your family, your parents, your siblings, your children. But the day of judgment, with all the troubles that are facing you, people are running away from each other in the mahshar. Person sees his father, he runs in a different direction. Father sees his son, this father runs in a different direction. Brothers are running away from each other. Husband is running away from the wife is running away from the husband. Which realm of existence is this? Do you know why they run away from each other? And this is where this title comes in, Hukukun Nas. The rights of people, Allah in doing dhulm to your family members. Where the brother shall run away from another brother because he's chasing him to take him to the court. Ya Allah, when my parents died, my sibling is the one who ate up my inheritance. Bring him to the court. This one, with all the problems that he has to deal with this accusation. What is human nature? Run. He runs from his brother. Husband who's been abusing his wife, domestic violence, physical violence, emotional oppression, emotional violence or emotional abuse. This wife who tolerated her husband in the dunya, today is the day of justice. Her husband will be running away from her in a different direction. She says, Ya Allah, this person who believed or pretended to be religious, who recited salat and pretended, he is the one in the darkness of the night who battered me and abused me. Bring him, today is the day of justice. And the same with the wife. And we live at a time where domestic violence is not one way. You go to other parts, inshallah, Allah keep our community safe from all this, but there are other places, maybe it happens here, Allahu Alam, I don't know, but there are times where even the Jama himself, anatandikwa na bibi yake, and what can you do? We can laugh, but perhaps because we are not being, let me not say anything, perhaps we should have the camera over here on the crowd, the one who's laughing gets tandikwa at home. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Little bit of humor, but it's a reality or no? This happens in the world in which we live or no? Dhulm. We have had this one incident. Allah, we still have perhaps maybe 5 minutes or so. Any case, we will for next time. People running away from each other because of the rights. What are one of these rights? Surah Al-A'raf. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, verse number 173. أَوْ تَقُولُوا إِنَّمَا أَشْرَكَ. Where does the verse start? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Yes, 173. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أَوْ تَقُولُوا إِنَّمَا أَشْرَكَ آبَاؤُنَا مِنْ قَبْلُ وَكُنَّا ذُرِّيَّةً مِّن بَعْدِهِمْ أَفَتُهْلِكُنَا بِمَا فَعَلَ الْمُبْطِلُونَ. People will say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when they are taken towards Nar Jahannam, you did all these sins, you violated all these commands of Allah, going towards Jahannam. People will say, Ya Allah, wait. Baba, what is their defense? Look at the defense. They will say, Ya Allah, are you going to punish us for the shirk that was committed by our fathers, and we had no sin except that we were born in their families? Yani, Yawmul Qiyamah, the children will blame their fathers and their mothers on Yawmul Qiyamah. Ya Allah, it was my father who made me grow up in an environment where we never recited Salat. It was my father who never taught me the importance of Salat. If you're going to punish me for not praying, Ya Allah, punish my father first. It was my mother who never taught me the importance of hijab. Allah, if it was the parents who are the reason for their daughters not wearing hijab. There are places sometimes, a girl, mu'mina, muttaqiyah, she's gaining ilm, she wants to wear hijab, she wants to wear the abaya, aqsud, the hijab of Sayyidat Nisa'il Alameen. The mother and the father refuse the daughter. So, mulyani taunche? You want to become female equivalent of a Maulana, mulyani? Ajib. That is sometimes the arguments, you wonder truly, forgive me for this, but how daft can the human mind be? Where there was a time where a parent, and this is a reality that had happened, there was a situation where a girl wanted to wear a full abaya and the hijab. Her parents say no to her. And she comes to us and we have a talk and everything, and we say to the parents, why? The parents are saying if she's not in hijab, no one is going to marry her. Ajib. You made your daughter into a commodity to be displayed such that people can now choose her for marriage. Where is this? Where are these people going towards? What deen are they following? Aslan live deen insaniyat. Bring them. The environment within the house is absolutely important. Our time is almost over. Baqiyatul Kalam, inshallah. The remainder of our Kalam we shall leave for tomorrow. There are few verses, but inshallah, continuation from there. But few points to take home from this, if we were to summarize everything. Number one, Ikhwani, is the realm of existence where people, those characters and traits that you have in the dunya, they will manifest themselves there. Person who is liar in the dunya, liar in the akhirah. One who gets away from consequences and justice in the dunya through bribery will try to do the same. The difference is over here, he gets away, over there he will not. Number three, family relationships. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, Qu anfusakum wa ahlikum naran, O you who believe, protect yourselves and protect your families. Naran wukuduha nas wal hijara. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, protect you, O you who believe. Protect yourselves and protect your families from that nar jahannam whose fuel is human beings and stone. What type of fire is this? The mind cannot contemplate. But over here, Shah, the place of importance. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who believe. Protect yourselves and protect your families, your children, your wives. This is a responsibility. Just providing a roof over the head, alhamdulillah, it's a big thing, it's an honor, it's a jihad, but it doesn't end here. To provide the child with secular education is important, alhamdulillah wa shukr, but it doesn't end there. There are things that are greater that need to be prioritized in life. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant all of us tawfiq in this majal. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. The majalis of Shahr Ramadan cannot be ended without the masa'ib of Imam al-Hussein and the dhikr of Karbala. And our hope is that on the day of judgment, when people are engulfed in all these difficulties and trials and tribulations, we stand in the mahshar and we raise our hands and we say, Ya Aba Abdullah, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. Ya Allah, do not deny us the shafa'ah of Imam al-Hussein on the day of judgment. And we seek proximity to Imam al-Hussein through his masa'ib. And today the heart is leaning towards the masa'ib of Shah Qasim. Allah, this son of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba, who was madloom and his father was also madloom. The narrations mention that when Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba was fed a poison by his wife Ju'ada, the intensity of the poison was such that Imam al-Mujtaba was coughing and vomiting out pools of blood. At one time, Imam al-Hussein came and sat next to him, and he begins to cry. Imam Hassan says to him, "Why do you cry, O my brother?" Imam al-Hussein replies back and he says, "O my brother Abba Muhammad, how can I not cry for you when I see how you were afflicted by this poison? I cry for your pain." Imam al-Hussein says, "It is, yes, you are the one who is poisoned, but it is as if I am living the consequences of this poison with you, Ya Abba Muhammad." Allahu Akbar. He begins to cry. Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba says to him, "O my brother Hussein, this tragedy and this tribulation is great, but la yawm ka yawmika ya Aba Abdullah. This tragedy is great, but there is no day like your day, O Aba Abdullah." The narrations mention that then Imam Hassan asked for a tasht, for a tray, and he began to vomit pieces of his intestines which had disintegrated due to the intensity of the poison. At this time, Sayyida Zainab came in. Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba says, "O my brother Hussein, hide this tasht from Zainab. She shall not be able to see this. Allah, this is Zainab." This last memory of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba was ingrained in the mind of Sayyida Zainab, which is why on the day of Ashura, when Shah Qasim wanted to go out into the battlefield, Imam Hussein took Shah Qasim towards the khayma. He opened a chest, he removed the amama of Imam al-Mujtaba, he tied it around the head of Qasim, he then gave him the aba of Imam al-Hassan, he then kissed Qasim on the forehead, and he said to him, "O my son, the remainder of my brother, go into your tent and bid your mother and your aunt Zainab farewell." The narrations mention Imam Shah Qasim came into the khaymaga, a youth whose face was radiant like the shining full moon. When he entered into the khayma, Sayyida Zainab stood up. She began to look at Shah Qasim and she said, "Is this my brother Hassan?" Allah. Sayyida Zainab falls down to the ground. She hugged Qasim and they began to cry. One of the narrations says, Sayyida Zainab remembered Imam Hassan so much to the extent that she fainted inside the khaymaga. Allahu Akbar. Shah Qasim was given permission to go into the battlefield. One of the only or one of the very few from the Bani Hashim who went into the battlefield on foot. He never went riding a horse. The narrations mention that Shah Qasim conducted a jihad representing his father Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba, until he saw the lace of his sandal was untied. Shah Qasim bent down to tie the lace of his sandal, as if to show the enemies that they mean nothing, or they are lesser than the sandal which he is wearing. At that time, one of the enemies came and struck Qasim on the back of his head with a sword. They cried out, "O Zalim! This is a young child. If you attack him, at least attack him from in front. What a great coward you are." The narration mentions the strike was such that Qasim fell face first on the plains of Karbala. He cried out, "Adrikni ya Amma." Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Allahumma inna nas'aluka bihaqq Shah Qasim. Shah Qasim is this wasila, this door to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through whom hajat are accepted. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through Shah Qasim. Ya Allah, hasten the reappearance of Imam al-Hujjah. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through Shah Qasim to forgive us our sins on a night like this. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through Shah Qasim to make us to be eligible from the Ansar and the Ashab of Imam al-Hujjah. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the sake of Shah Qasim to make our mawqif, to make our standings on the day of judgment to be one which is easy and one through which we are able to gain the shafa'ah of Ahlul Bayt. Ya Allah, by the sake of Shah Qasim, mu'mineen and mu'minat who have gathered here today, Ya Allah, do not let them leave until and unless you have fulfilled their hajat. Ya Allah, by the sake of Shah Qasim, mu'mineen and mu'minat who are not in the best of health, you grant them shafa'ah. By the sake of Shah Qasim, marhumeen and marhumat who have passed away, you make their graves into a garden from the gardens of Jannah. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen. If we can end this majlis with the recitation of a Surah Al-Fatiha, beginning with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.